Welcome to our gentle class for today. Our theme this week is around vibration. So last week we were talking about flow and rhythm. And so I think of vibration as sort of just a faster pace of rhythm. But vibration comes with sound waves. Vibration we can see, right, because of vibration, like things like rainbows. It's energy, it's vibration, it's not, can't touch it. You might be able to find that pot of gold at the end, but you can't actually touch the rainbow. Just like you can't touch sound, but it has waves and has resonance and vibration. And sound is so powerful in our bodies. It is the most subtle experience that we can have is sound because it involves matter, right? It involves things, right? It has to move through the air, the sound waves, for us to be able to hear, and it has to hit our eardrum and all of that stuff to make us hear it. But it doesn't have matter itself. So it's very, very subtle. And unlike touching things, right, which is solid, feels solid, or what we can see, seeing solid objects, sound is much, much more subtle. And it said because it's so subtle, it has a deeper impact on our system. So that vibration when we make sound resonates through our bodies, and it can create a sense of ease and peace in our bodies. Sound, as you might know, can also create agitation, right? Loud sounds, like a jackhammer is vibration, but it may not be very relaxing to the system. So finding the right vibrations and the right sounds to help us to feel more at ease and more relaxed. So be seated, be comfortable. I'm going to stay standing close to the computer, and I'll come to sit after I introduce the first few exercises so that you can see what I'm doing. So the first one we also did in the last week, and we've done in the meditations on Wednesday morning, and that is the butterfly hug, which is a kind of way of bringing in some rhythm. So we'll start with that. And in the butterfly hug, you're going to cross your hands so that your thumb pads connect. You're going to point your fingers on an angle toward the ceiling, and then find your collarbones right here, and bring your hands a little lower so you're not touching your collarbones, you're just slightly lower. So that's the position for the butterfly hug. And then the movement is just to tap one hand and the other. So this bilateral tapping, it's soothing for our nervous system. It also brings the left and right side of the brain into sides of the brain into harmony. And then we're going to add the humming breath to this. So the humming breath is exactly as it sounds. You're going to inhale normally, exhale, making it a humming sound, and you can do it quietly, you can do it loudly, whatever works for you. And you might want to close your eyes so you can really tune in to the resonance in your body. So take several breaths where you exhale and make a humming sound, inhale normal. Follow your own breath rhythm. And then pause, let the tapping stop, let the sounding stop. You can keep the hands here for a moment. And I invite you to check in and notice, what are you aware of? What do you feel in your body? You might also notice your breath in its own rhythm. Notice the state of your mind, how active or quiet it seems to be right now. And as always, letting go of any judgments that you might have as to how you think things should be, and tuning into what's present with your mood or emotions. And then you can slowly release your hands, let them come to rest on your thighs or your knees. And I'm going to join you on the mat in a seated position. So as you come, you're already seated, I imagine, but you can be in a chair for this part, you can be on the ground. As long as you're comfortable, legs can be stretched out in front of you or crossed as I am. Really, the most important thing is that you're comfortable, not that you're in any particular seated position for now. So from here, we're going to work with the cat-cow movement, so seated movement of cat-cow, so it's arching and rounding the back. And I'm going to, again, invite you to use the humming breath on your exhalation. So your inhalation, drawing the chest forward, lifting and bringing the shoulders down and back. And then as you exhale, rounding, and at the same time, humming. So inhale. And then gradually make your way back to a seated upright position. And you can close your eyes for a moment and tune into what you notice now. And we'll be doing this a lot throughout the practice, is pausing and tuning in, noticing, can we feel any effect of that vibration in the body? So sometimes for me, when I do sounding, I feel warmer, and I might feel a little tingly around my skin, or a little more spaciousness in the throat. So you could have a similar experience or something completely different. So I really encourage you to tune in to what's real and true for you and notice. You don't have to do anything with the information. Noticing is the point. So now we'll do some circles with the torso, starting to check in with the hips and lower back. So noticing what you feel in your low back and hips as you do this, or anywhere else. You may feel it elsewhere in your body. For me, most of the sensation is sort of in the sides of my waist and lower back, top of my hip area. But again, you could be quite different from me and have a really different experience. Try going the other direction as well and see if anything changes. Make sure you're breathing, but there's no need to breathe in any particular way. And I want to say that when we're sounding, sometimes my sound will last longer than your sound, or your sound may want to last longer than my sound. Please follow your own breath. Right? So if you're trying to make your sound longer to match mine, but you don't have any breath left, you're going to create a lot of strain and actually create tension in your body. Right? So really following what works for you. So we're going to come right to the ground now. So if you're on a cushion or a chair, you want to come right down onto your mat or onto the ground and bring your legs out in front of you and your hands back behind you. And your legs should be about shoulder width apart, maybe even slightly wider, and the arms just wherever they're comfortable to support you. Try not to lock your elbows and sink into your shoulders, but think about gently pressing into the hands and keeping the chest lifted and open. And then we'll start with a little rocking movement side to side. Just taking the knees one way and the other. And then if it feels right to you to add a little bit more movement, you can start to lift the hip as you take the knees down. So the hip on the opposite side of the knees will lift. You might find that your body starts to crawl forward and you can follow with your hands or push your hips back to your hands. So you're only going to go as far as your hips and shoulders and your back allow. Just getting some movement into those hip joints. Great. Now, if it feels okay for you, you can let both knees come down. You're going to release the back arm. If your hips are tight, let your knees stack. So bring them a little closer. Not necessarily knee over knee, but knee over shin or calf. And if it feels comfortable to you, both knees can be on the ground. So either way, you're going to lift the spine tall and turn around towards the arm behind you on the ground. Use the other hand against your leg or against the ground to lift you tall. And take a breath or two here. And then you'll slowly release, come around. Remember, if it's too much twist for you, you can always just bring the legs down and pause there. You can come any amount in towards the twist, all the way to looking behind you if that's available to you. Use your hands to support lifting of your spine. Breath or two here. And then you'll release and come back around to the center. And stretch your legs out now and give them a good shake. Just let them vibrate, shake. Pressing against the ground, alternating. Feel your hip flexors wake up a little bit, these muscles in the front of your hips. You can keep supporting yourself with your hands. That'll make it a lot easier. Great, and then let your legs relax. Take a moment to notice. You might feel some tingling or warmth in your legs. Great. And then we're going to bring one knee up in towards the body. And I'm going to give you a few different options here. So the simplest option is to take whatever hand is opposite the leg that's in front. You're going to bring that behind you. You can keep the other hand on your knee to support it as you open and bring your knee back to the center. So that's sort of the simplest version. If you want a little more, you can release the hand and let the knee go down a little further. And if that feels good to you and your hip says, I could use a little more, I'd enjoy a little bit more movement here, you can lift up your leg, flex your foot, reach for your foot or your ankle with the hand on the closest side. The knee is held by the other hand. And you want to make sure your foot is flexed, it's not twisting. Right? So if this is available to you, instead of just taking the knee to the side, you can rock the leg across your body. Try to sit up tall if you can. Using a little bit of our core as well here. Great. So for the next one, again, a couple of options. So you might just rest with the leg out to the side, maybe supporting it with a block or a blanket. If it's available to you, you can take the ankle of the leg you were just working with, bring it above the knee on the thigh, lean way back and bend the leg that's on the floor. So you want to lean way back because it's going to be a lot of stretch otherwise, most likely. And then you can slowly start to bring your body a little more upright. The closer the leg that's horizontal, if you're doing this with me, the closer your chest and leg are together, the more stretch you'll very likely feel. So if you want less stretch, you're going to lean back and move the leg away. More stretch, you're going to pull the foot in on the floor and sit up taller. You can take a few breaths here. And so you're either here or you might be here out to the side. Either way, totally fine. Notice where you feel a stretch. It's going to be different depending on which position you're in. Breathing into the feeling of stretch. So as you breathe in, imagine the breath going to that area. And if you like, you can very lightly hum as you exhale, imagining that you're humming into that space and letting that vibration bring some ease. Come out of the pose anytime. Otherwise, a couple more breaths here if you're still comfortable. And then let's release. So you'll bring both legs straight. Give them a shake. And then we'll move to the other side. So we'll bring the knee in first. Sit up tall. And then again, you can either use one hand or both hands to support you if you want to take that first option. And you can all start there. It's not a bad way to warm up. Really tuning in. How does this side feel? And if your hips are tight, you may just want to stay with this movement or let the knee rest to the side as we go into the next stretch, which is to lift up the leg. So you can either reach for the ankle and the knee, or you can flex the foot and fold the foot if that's available to you. And then you're going to rock. Trying to sit up nice and tall as is possible for you. And then again, you may be having the foot on the floor, doing that first version. You may be here, placing the ankle just above your knee. Again, lean way back to slowly start to bend the knee. When your foot feels like it's solid on the ground and you have room to move here, if you do, you can lift your chest a little bit towards the leg. Use your hands to support you. And then again, breathing, softening, noticing where you feel a stretch as you breathe in. And then relaxing as you exhale. And if you like, you can use the humming to help direct your breath into relaxing your hip or wherever it is that you feel the stretch. So you'd inhale, feel the stretch, exhale, hum. Great. Whenever you're ready, you can release. And always, if your body wants to come out of pose before I make that suggestion, please do. Right? So holding tension to try and hold a pose for as long as you think you should is counterproductive. So you can bring the legs straight out again, give them another shake. Right, and then just let your legs relax. Feet can fall away from each other. I don't know if you can see my feet, but they're just kind of falling away from each other. I'm resting back on my hands and then lifting the heart. Big breath in, exhale, and relax. Right, so let's bring the legs around now and come onto hands and knees. We'll actually come onto elbows and knees so that the hands are straight out in line with your wrists. Palms down. And then lift your hands up. So bend at the wrist and lift. And lower. You can do that a few times. And then you can roll over so you're on the outer part of your forearms, palms are up. And you can curl your hands into fists and lift the fists and lower. So very gentle here, just giving the wrists a little movement. Right, and then with the hands and fists in this position, you're going to rotate them in towards each other and out. In and out. So it's a sideways kind of movement with your wrists. Right, and then turning the hands back over, palms down. Spread your fingers out. Press into your hands. Just a little stretch for the fingers. Right, and then we'll take those nice wide hands and bring them up underneath the shoulders. So you want to make sure you're not locking your elbows or sinking into your shoulders. Keep softness there. And again, we'll come back to the humming breath on the exhale. So you'll inhale and arch your back. Exhale, rounding as you hum. Inhale, normal. Exhale, humming, rounding. A few more. If you want to add child's pose, you can do that with your exhale. Instead of just rounding, move to child's pose and then back to all fours. You can do the same breathing. Inhale, normal. Exhale, humming. Okay, coming back up, we're going to turn the head to look towards the hip. Bring the chin toward the shoulder. Pause for breath. And then other way. So looking back towards your hip, chin coming toward your shoulder, and back to center. And we'll go side to side and move slowly. So getting that side bend to the spine. A little movement in the neck. Great. And then let's come back to the center. So from here, we'll take one foot forward. The easy way to get there with one knee down, the other foot forward, doesn't matter which foot. And then you'll tuck your back toes under to lift the back knee. And you might step that back foot a little forward and bring your whole foot down with your foot turned to the side. And then from here, you can bring your hands up onto your knee. Pause here. Press down into your back heel, and as you lift your upper body, let your arms float up into warrior one. And then we'll release the arms down to the sides. You can move your front leg straighter. So we'll move into warrior, adding a forward bend with warrior. And we'll let go of the sound for now, so we'll just do the movement. So bending the knee, lifting the arms, breathing in. And then as you exhale, bring your hands onto your thigh above your knee. Let your chest come toward your thigh. If you can reach, you can bring your hands instead to the ground. And then inhale to lift up. So we're coming up with a breath in, releasing forward with a breath out. So any version that works for you. Great. This time, staying here, you can again have the hands on the knee, or you can reach towards the ground or blocks if you happen to have them. And we're going to move that front leg a little more bent, not beyond the ankle, but just perpendicular to the ground. And then you can move it straighter, but I'm going to really encourage you not to push on your leg and hyperextend your knee. So you're actually resisting a little. As the leg is going back, you're bringing it almost but not quite straight, and then bend. So almost but not quite straight, and bend. Right, and then let's come back up, reaching overhead, and releasing the arms down. And then step your front foot back to meet your back foot. Pause here for a moment on both feet, and notice how one side, sort of from the waist down, the leg feels maybe a little different from the other side. It may or may not feel different, so it's really just an inquiry, not a given that there will be something to notice. And then we'll do the other side. So step forward with whichever foot was back before, and then the back foot will turn out to the side so that you've got good balance. So if you feel like you're on a bit of a tightrope and your feet are right in front of each other, it's going to be harder to balance. So make sure there's space. So if your feet start hip distance apart, you need to keep that distance as you come into this warrior position. And that's just helpful if you feel a little off balance in the position. So again, from here, inhaling, lifting the arms, little bend in the front knee, and coming forward any amount. So hands to the knee or the ground or blocks or whatever you've got. A chair will work as well. Coming up with a breath in and coming forward as you exhale. So again, this time you can stay in that forward bend. Again, it could be hands on the floor if you can reach, or you've got blocks, or on the knee. And again, we're going to move the legs straighter, but not all the way straight. And then bend and straighter. And the reason we're not going all the way straight is we don't want to put pressure on the knee joint. So if we're holding the hands on the knee and then we pressure to move it straight, we can hyperextend the knee. Not so good. So really you have to tune into where is your point of stopping. If your leg could go straight, if you've got the flexibility, then you need to find just that place before straight that you can pause and then go back. And then find a place where you can hang out for a few breaths. Again, could be hands on the ground, hands on the thigh, whatever works. Right, and then wherever you are, you can come all the way back up with a breath in. Release the arms and step back to mountain pose. So in mountain pose, take a moment. Find a little evenness, pressing down into both heels, lifting up through the crown of your head. And we'll turn the palms out, lift the arms up. Bend your knees a little and we'll come forward. So you could bring your hands to your thighs, shins, or reach all the way down to the ground. And then inhale, lift up. And exhale, release your arms to the sides. So again, inhale and lift. Soften your knees. You never want to bend forward with straight legs. This helps to keep your lower back in a good position, coming up. Exhaling, arms to the sides. Let's do a couple more like that. So each time we come back to the starting position. Always go at your own pace. So whatever I'm doing is just my pace. It may not at all resemble what feels right for you. coming back to the starting place when you get there. And we're going to come back into that forward bend now, and you have the option to stay for a few breaths. If you prefer to keep moving, just keep on moving. If you're ready, coming up with the breath in, you're going to bend your knees. The hands or forearms can come onto the thighs, and that will give you lots of support in the forward bend. Alternate options, you could cross your arms and hold your elbows, or let your arms dangle toward the ground. So always being cautious. If you need to keep your head above your heart for any kind of pressure in the head or high blood pressure, then you'll want to keep your elbows or hands on your thighs. Great, let's come all the way up, breathing in. Exhale and release. So we're going to head back into a forward bend in a moment. This time we're going to make our way back to all fours from down or from the standing forward bend. So you can either go down the way you came up, just bring your knees under you, or if you like, you can step back to downward dog. If you like that pose, spend a few breaths there and then come to hands and knees. So together, we'll take a breath in and lift up. Exhale, come forward, bend your knees enough so your hands can find the ground, and then you're either going to step back onto your feet in downward dog or step back onto your knees on all fours. So I've come into downward dog. I'm just going to walk on the spot. You can do the same if you like. If downward dog feels like too much, lowering the knees if you haven't already at any time. And then we're going to come into child's pose, and there's a few different versions you can choose. So one is the sort of most common, maybe not the easiest, but the most common is knees together, chest on the thighs, head on the ground. So some variations, you might want to be more forward on your forearms if that's better for your knees or ankles. You might want your head on your hands, either flat or stacked in fists. One of my favorites is having the knees a little wider apart, and that gives room for your belly to be really relaxed in between your legs there. So you can try that option if you like. So play around to find a version of child's pose that hopefully you can be relaxed in for a few breaths, and then you'll stay there for a few breaths. So letting the body settle again. For our last few breaths in child's pose, you might try coming back to a very gentle, very quiet humming on your exhalation. So you'd inhale normally. Exhale gently, humming. And maybe 2 more breaths like that. Great. And then when you're ready, come upright, come to all fours, however you want to get there, and we'll come to lie right down on the mat. So you can just swing around and come down onto your mat. So when you get there, by having your knees bent, your feet on the ground, let your hands come to rest on your belly or your rib cage, wherever you can easily feel some movement of your breath. And then just let your breath be. Take a few breaths here. Feel the support of the ground beneath you. Feel how little effort is required to be here. Relax your jaw. For the next movement, it's really about getting into the back and the shoulders, getting some movement in the upper body. And so we'll start with the arms down at the sides. And you'll lift them up through the air, reaching them into the space behind you toward the ground. They may not come to the ground, that's fine. And then back down to your sides. So do this at your own pace. Don't even worry about trying to coordinate with your breath at all. So when we slow down, we can really feel where our edges and limits are. You might find that bending your elbows or moving them more to the sides rather than overhead is more comfortable for you. And when you give yourself the time and the space to really inquire what works for you, we're much less likely to override what we notice. Right? So when we move quickly, we don't notice restrictions in the body. We move past them before we even become aware of them. And that's how we can create injury for not being careful. So one more time. Right, and then letting the arms come to your sides. And now we're going to take the arms, move them a little bit away from your body, turning the palms toward the ceiling. So hopefully there's a feeling of relaxation and ease in the shoulders now. And then we're going to bring the feet so that they're more or less underneath your knees. So heels under the knees, they could be a little further, a little closer, but in that general direction. Feet about hip distance apart. And we'll work with the bridge pose. So we're going to come back to sounding again here. And this one's a little bit different. So instead of just humming with the breath, we're going to open the mouth and ideally open it wide and make a kind of sighing sound as you exhale and lower the body. So the way it goes is this. You'll lift up with an inhale, any amount. As you exhale, as the body sinks down. You can pause when you get to the bottom, maybe take a breath to reset, and then try it again a few more times. So inhale up. So really make sure you open your mouth. So that's going to release your jaw. Couple more just like that. One more time. Great, and then pausing on the ground. I just want to say it may feel a little strange to make noises as you're doing your yoga practice. And if it feels uncomfortable, you're more than welcome to not make the sound, but I do encourage you to try even quietly, even if you feel a little bit funny about it. So when we bring breath, movement, sound, and our attention all into the picture, each time we add on, we're bringing more that can help to soothe our nervous system and bring us to a place of ease. To a point, right? If we add too many things in, we start to get agitated. So we have to find that balance. And it can be different for each of us and different on different days as well. So now we're going to bring the knees up in toward the chest. One hand can rest on each knee. And that simple movement of knees away by straightening the arms, knees coming in by bending the elbows. Inhaling, if you're coordinating your breath now, inhale as the knees go away. Exhale as the knees come in. Take your time, follow your own rhythm, let go of any need to make sound now. Coming into the more subtle realm here. Right, and then we'll keep one knee in, bring the other foot to the floor. And so here we'll work again a little bit more with each leg individually. So options here are to hold behind the leg. You can grab a hold of your pant leg on the sides if you can't quite reach behind, or you can let go altogether. And the exercise is just to move the leg straighter and bend it. Move straighter, and we're just easing into a little bit of stretch and then releasing. And then a little stretch and release. So in order to stretch the hamstrings at the back of the leg, we need to contract the quadriceps in the front of the leg, and all the muscles in the body work like that in pairs. So as you hold the leg up in the air, can you feel how the front part of your leg has to contract to allow that back part to stretch? So feel that difference, that juxtaposition, front side to back side of the leg, notice. And then flex your foot so your toes point toward your face, and gently feel how that brings a stretch right up the leg from the calf. At least it does for me. So feel where that stretch is for you. And then very slowly start to circle the ankle around. You can hold the leg if you like. You can bend the knee as much as you want. Circling and tuning into what you feel and notice. Any sounds, any sensations in your ankle. In the olden days when we practiced yoga together, we'd often hear a little symphony of ankle cracks. Great, now relax your foot all together, relax your ankle, and just give that whole leg a gentle shake. Great. And then bringing the leg down and relax. You might stretch both legs out on the ground for a moment, let both legs relax, and maybe notice how your right leg feels compared with your left leg. One leg we've stretched a bit more than the other right now, so see what you're aware of. And then let's bend both legs again. Other knee comes in, and again, you have all the same options to grab a hold of your pants, reach behind, or not hold at all as you straighten and bend the leg. And holding on is useful if you're very flexible and you want more stretch, and you can reach around easily behind your leg so the leg comes in toward the chest, and when you straighten it, it's a lot more work to straighten with the knee in close. So finding again the positioning that works best for you. Notice, see if you can feel how your quadriceps, these four big muscles in the front of your thigh, contract to allow the back of your leg to stretch. And then the opposite happens. The muscles in the back contract and lengthen in the front when you bend. So it's, it seems like we're not really doing much, just straightening and bending the leg, but there's a lot going on there. And you can keep the leg up. It might start to shake as you work those big muscles that have to contract to hold the leg there. See if you can relax everything else. And if you're holding on, then that's fine. But see if you can relax everything else in your body. Try gently flexing your foot so your toes point back toward your face. Notice the sensations that arise when you do that, and then slowly circle your ankle around. And as you go slowly, really tune into the sensations. What are you aware of? You can also circle in the other direction. And then relax your foot all together. Completely relaxed ankle, soft bend in the knees so you can give a little shake here. Right, and then let the leg come back down. And for the next one, it's very similar to one that we did sitting earlier. The first leg you worked with, you're going to bring it in and cross the ankle above the thigh on that opposite leg. Whichever leg is up in the air, you're going to take that same hand and gently, as long as it feels okay for you, gently press the thigh away. Big caution here, making sure that the knee of that leg that's up in the air is comfortable. So this position asks our hip to externally rotate. If your hip is tight, your knee might be closer to your body, that's fine. Don't try to push it away such that it puts pain in your knee, okay? So if it feels comfortable to push away, great. If not, just let it relax. And you might find that this is enough stretch for you. And if you want more stretch, the same rule applies as when we were on the ground, bringing the legs toward the body. On the ground, we also brought the body toward the legs, but that's going to be just a lot of effort here. So you can, again, grab your pant leg, pull in. If you have a foam or a wooden block or even a thick book, you can try placing that under your foot for a little bit more movement in toward the chest. And then if you've really got a lot of flexibility, one hand dives between the legs, the other comes around the outside, and you take your hands behind your thigh. So hopefully there's an option in all of that that works for you. I gave you, I think, 4 or 5 different options there. So finding what works for you, and then I invite you to come back to your breath. Breathing in, feel where you notice the tightness. As you exhale, you can softly hum as if you're sending the vibration into the tightness to invite more ease. So a few more breaths. As always, you can come out anytime if you want to earlier. Remember, you can change positions or come out of the pose anytime. If you're still good here, maybe 1 or 2 more breaths. And then as you feel ready to release, you'll bring the foot back to the floor if you've lifted it, uncross the knees. And then before we do the other side, just take a moment to take the knees a couple of inches one way and the other. So we're rocking a little bit over the back of the sacrum, releasing, giving a little massage to those big muscles in the buttocks. So it's just a small movement, just shifting a little bit one way and the other. Okay, and then if you're ready to try the other side, you can bring the ankle up over the thigh, just above the knee. Again, you really want to honor this knee. So this knee is vulnerable in this position. And if you push with too much force or leverage, you can put too much pressure on this knee. So really tune in. If it feels good to gently press the thigh away, you can try that to begin with. And then really, again, tuning in. Does your body want and need more? It may not want or need more, in which case, hallelujah, you don't have to do anything else here. You can just hang out here. If your body says, this is not enough, I want more stretch, again, you can place your block underneath your foot, or even just bring the leg in closer, coming onto your toes if that's enough. If you can grab a hold of your pants, bring the leg in if you can't quite reach behind. And if you can reach behind, that's an option as well. Sometimes just using a sock or a belt to extend your reach to hold the leg can be a helpful addition to your practice. So then again, we'll stay here and breathe. And you have that same option as you inhale to really notice and feel where you're tight, where you're restricted. And then as you exhale, you can softly hum as if you're sending that vibration into the hip or leg or wherever you feel the stretch to invite it to soften and find ease. One or two more breaths if you're still in the pose. And then as you're ready, whenever you're ready, you can uncross your legs. Bring your feet back to the floor. And stretch both legs out. As long as it's comfortable for your lower back. If not, both knees bent is fine. Let your legs fall away from each other to the sides in a most relaxed position. And notice the vibration, sensation, tingling, or maybe no sensation from your hips all the way down to your feet. So you're just noticing. And then taking a slightly deeper breath, and you can let it out with a sigh again. Maybe one more like that. Okay, and then we're ready to move into Shavasana. If your body wants other movements, if you want to bring both knees into your chest or stretch out on the ground or anything else that would feel good to you, you can take your time to just do a little bit of movement and then find your way to stillness for Shavasana. And that might be sitting, but most likely for most people, the choice seems to be to lie down. So you just decide what's best for you. You go in bed. Nope. Where you go? So really take your time, and as you start to wind down to come to a place of stillness, make sure you're comfortable and warm enough. And if you've chosen to come to sit, just again, make sure you're in a comfortable position with your head lined up over your shoulders, shoulders over hips. Could be on the floor, on a chair. And lying down, just whatever's comfortable, hands could rest on the body. They could rest out to the sides, legs could be bent, knees pointing at the ceiling. And if you choose that option, you might think about taking your knees together and feet a little wider so that your legs make a pyramid and support one another. And that way you don't have to try to hold your legs upright. They support each other. Or legs straight, feet falling away from each other out to the sides. Come back to your breath now. As you are aware of and feel the ground beneath you, let your body melt into that support. And especially feel that melting as you soften with your exhalation. So no sounding now, just breathing normally. Exhale, soften, melt, and relax. So we've been working with subtle energy today around the jaw, the throat and neck, into the area of the chest, shoulders. So now relaxing your jaw. And feel how when you relax your jaw, the muscles all around your neck, even the base of your skull and the back of the neck can release a little bit. Make sure your teeth aren't clenched, so there's a little space between your upper and lower teeth. And allow the weight of your head to really be supported by the earth, so there's no effort involved in holding your head in any particular way. The ground supports you, your neck relaxes, and all the muscles of your face also relax. As you exhale, feel your shoulders drop, your arms release, and the hands absolutely relaxed. Exhale and let go with your shoulders, arms, and hands even more. Feel your shoulder blades sinking and softening into your upper back, into the earth. Feel the gentle rhythmic movements of your rib cage and belly as you breathe. And with each exhalation, find a little more softening, a little more ease in your chest and belly, your lower back. Exhaling, soften even more, drop down into the pelvis, relaxing the muscles of your buttocks, lower abdomen, and all around the hips. Soften your thighs, let them go. Let your knees release. Relax your calves and shins. Your ankles and feet. So sound is related to vibration. It's related to the Big Bang, the start of everything in our universe. And with that idea, today's chant honors the creative force, which is said to relate to sound and vibration. And the creative force in this chant is referred to as Purusha. Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha Sahasra Sahasrapada Sabhumin Vishvato Vritva Atyatishtada Sangulam Purusha Evedagum Sarvam Yadbhute Yakcha Bhavyam Utamritatasye Yadannena tirohati etavanasya mahima ato jaya gusha purushaha. If you're ready to start to bring your awareness back into the room, you can maybe start by wiggling your jaw a little bit. Just open your mouth a bit, move your jaw side to side, open wider, and gently close without clenching. And then maybe try fingers and toes wiggling, starting to wake up from your extremities. You can gradually stretch and move your body any way that would feel good to you. And as always, if you want to rest a little longer, please do. If you're ready to come back to seated, you can roll to your side first and come upright. And come back to whatever seated position is comfortable. We'll just spend maybe another minute seated, for those of you who have chosen to come back to seated. And we're going to come back to the butterfly hug. So cross your hands, and probably you're like me, you're crossing them the same way every time. Try crossing with the other hand in front and hooking the thumbs. It'll probably feel a little bit weird. That's okay. And then hands come to the chest with the fingers pointing up toward the collarbones but not touching the collarbones. And we started with a humming breath earlier. And you can repeat the humming breath if you like, or you can try the ah breath, which is just opening the mouth and making ah as you exhale. So we're tapping one side, then the other, and then we're going to inhale and exhale with some sound, ah or hmm. Two more, your own breath pace. Letting the sound go, letting the movement go. Pause for a moment and notice what you're aware of. And then you can touch the palms together. Take a moment to thank yourself for showing up, for taking this time of self-care, giving to yourself so that you can be better able to service yourself and others in this life. When we're exhausted and we aren't giving to ourselves, we're no use to anyone else or ourselves. So taking a moment in gratitude. Namaste.